Hamburger pie casserole was a 1960s staple built around convenience. It layered ground beef, canned soup, and sometimes mashed potatoes into a single baked dish meant to mimic familiar burger flavors. For a while, practicality mattered more than taste. As fresher ingredients became more accessible and cooking habits shifted, families moved back to simpler meals, and hamburger pie gradually faded. Hot dog casserole mixed sliced hot dogs with macaroni, cheese, and veggies. It showed up regularly at potlucks and family dinners throughout the 1960s because it was cheap and easy to prepare. Over time, the texture, especially after reheating, became its biggest flaw. As expectations around convenience foods improved, the dish slowly dropped out. McDonald's tried the Hula Burger in 1962, a meatless option. Instead of a patty, the sandwich used a grilled pineapple slice topped with cheese. At the same time, a franchise owner developed the Filet-O-Fish to solve the same problem. When both were tested, customers overwhelmingly preferred the fish sandwich. The Hula Burger disappeared almost immediately, becoming one of McDonald's shortest-lived ideas. Beef fudge appeared in a 1967 cookbook, a protein-enhanced food trend. The recipe combined chocolate fudge with ground beef, and it was presented as a way to balance sweetness and nutrition. While it aligned with contemporary food theory, the clashing flavors made it hard to love. It lived on more as a curiosity than as something people actually cooked again. Celery-flavored Jell-O was introduced in the early 1960s for savory dishes. It was intended for molded salads that included vegetables, meats, and mayonnaise. The strong vegetal flavor and bitter aftertaste limited its appeal. As savory gelatin dishes fell out of fashion, celery Jell-O disappeared. Burger King introduced the Jumbo in 1968, a hot ham and cheese alternative. It was served on a warm roll and packaged to stay hot. It developed a small but loyal following, but it never fit Burger King's flame identity. By the mid-1970s, the chain narrowed its focus and quietly removed it from the menu. General Mills introduced breakfast squares in the 1970s as convenient breakfast alternatives. They were dense, cake-like bars fortified with vitamins and minerals. They were sold in flavors such as chocolate and cinnamon. The idea was to offer a complete breakfast in portable form. While the concept appealed to busy households, many found the texture dry. As granola bars gained popularity later in the decade, breakfast squares lost their place. Planters Jumbo Block was a dense peanut candy bar released in the 1970s. It combined roasted peanuts and nougat, coated in chocolate. It leaned heavily on the trusted Planters name. Consumers found it overly heavy and sweet. In a candy aisle dominated by established favorites, it struggled to stand out. It quietly disappeared by the early 1980s. Canned hamburgers attempted to preserve an entire burger as a shelf-stable product. The bun, patty, and condiments were sealed and cooked together inside a metal can. While functional for emergency or military use, the texture limited broader appeal. It remained a fringe novelty rather than a mainstream food. Space food sticks were introduced in the 1970s as energy snacks inspired by astronauts. They came in flavors like peanut butter, caramel, and chocolate. They relied heavily on space-age branding. Once the novelty faded, the dense texture offered little reason to return. By the early 1980s, they were gone. Kugel was introduced in 1971 as flavored peanut butters aimed at children. Options included chocolate, cinnamon, and banana. The product leaned heavily on playful branding and a cartoon mascot. While the idea sounded fun, many found the flavors overly artificial. By the end of the decade, Kugel had quietly disappeared from grocery shelves. Chiffon margarine appeared in the 1970s as interest in health-conscious eating grew. It was marketed as a lighter, fluffier alternative to traditional margarine. It was made with vegetable-based fats and designed to spread easily. The airy texture was meant to signal modernity, but many consumers found it artificial and lacking flavor. As skepticism toward processed foods increased, chiffon failed to build loyalty. In 1976, Betty Crocker launched Muggle Lunch as instant pasta meals for maximum convenience. The packets contained macaroni and cheese and spaghetti. They required only hot water to prepare. The idea targeted quick meals at home or at work. As competition in instant foods increased and quality expectations rose, Muggle Lunch struggled. It was eventually phased out. Snackmate cheese was an aerosol cheese product introduced by Kraft in the 1970s. It became popular as a novelty for snacking, especially at parties and children's events. Spraying cheese directly onto crackers or celery was part of the fun. By the 1980s, growing awareness of processed foods shifted public perception. The gimmick lost its appeal and the original formulation was gradually retired. Aids diet candy was marketed as an appetite suppressant during the 1970s. The caramel-flavored lozenges were heavily promoted, and they initially sold extremely well. In the early 1980s, the product name became associated with the AIDS epidemic. This triggered an immediate collapse in sales. Rebranding attempts failed, and health concerns sealed its fate by the mid-1980s. In 1974, Gerber launched Gerber Singles, a line of pureed meals intended for adults. The meals were packaged in jars identical to baby food. They were marketed to busy individuals who wanted quick, no-cook options. Consumers struggled to accept both the texture and presentation. The backlash was swift, and the product was removed from shelves within a year. Crazy Cow cereal arrived in 1977 with a built-in magic trick. Each puff was coated in powder that instantly turned the milk chocolate or strawberry. For kids, that transformation was the whole appeal. But once the color change wore off, there was not much left to enjoy. The cereal itself was bland, and parents were not impressed. When the novelty faded, so did interest, and Crazy Cow disappeared. Reggie Bar launched in 1978, riding celebrity hype tide to baseball star Reggie Jackson. The debut was dramatic, and fans threw bars onto the field during opening games. Under the wrapper, though, it was a familiar mix of peanuts, caramel, and chocolate. Without a distinct identity, excitement dropped fast. By the early 1980s, the bar was gone. During the 1980s, Colgate attempted an ambitious expansion with frozen dinners. On paper, the move followed standard corporate logic. In practice, consumers could not separate the brand from toothpaste. The idea of minty associations with lasagna and chicken proved too strong. The line failed quickly and became a textbook example of brand mismatch. Frito-Lay breakfast mates appeared in the 1990s as an all-in-one breakfast kit for people on the move. Each package included bacon, eggs, syrup, a toaster pastry, and milk. Place in morning routines, and it just didn't last. McDonald's came out with the Arch Deluxe in 1996, which was a premium burger made specifically for adults. The company supported it with a huge marketing campaign that focused on sophistication and mature taste. Initial testing looked good, but in actual restaurants, customers kept choosing cheaper, familiar options instead. The Arch Deluxe never got a steady following and was pulled by the year 2000, ending up as one of McDonald's most costly mistakes. Lay's WOW chips came out in 1998 during the peak of the low-fat diet trend. They were made with a fat substitute called Olestra, promising snacks without guilt and bringing huge initial sales. But that success didn't stick around. Accounts of digestive issues led to required warning labels, and public confidence vanished almost immediately. Trying to rebrand couldn't fix the damage, and the product disappeared fast. Heinz Easy Squirt Ketchup was released in 2000, featuring vibrant green, purple, and blue ketchup in squeeze bottles. Initially, kids absolutely loved it and sales shot up, but eventually the novelty wore off. The mixed colors started looking unappetizing, and parents got sick of bright neon plates. By 2006, the experiment was done, leaving Easy Squirt as a fond memory of how extreme food gimmicks used to get. These food failures demonstrate that just innovating isn't sufficient. Products that succeed still need to align with what consumers expect regarding taste, familiarity, and everyday consumption. Let us know in the comments what we should discuss next. Thanks for watching.